Let's see here. Isn't that something right out of a 1950s B movie? Massive solar flare barreling toward Earth this Halloween. Well, happy Saturday, everybody. Uh, I hope all we experience are glorious aurora borealises in the tropics. Anyway, it's a wild world we're living in. And here we are again. Happy Saturday morning, everyone. The day before Halloween. I hope you're getting ready to enjoy yourself. Uh, and today we're going to talk about the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which really sounds sort of like a Halloween theme. We're going to pick up where we left off yesterday with my address to uh, a group, a symposium of esoteric Freemasons that I gave a number of years back. And on ritual work, memory work, uh, and the fear of death and of public speaking. Anyway, here's kind of where we left off yesterday. Stuck between the legs of every well-dressed Egyptian mummy is a magical text written, so tradition would have us believe, by the god Thoth himself. Memorized to perfection in life, it enabled the recently deceased to negotiate step by step the ordeals and confusion of post-mortem existence and become absorbed, as it were, fully identified with the immortal deity. The text is known to us as the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and while unquestionably the scriptural centerpiece of an elaborately complex religious institution, it is, in my opinion, the fundamental handbook of initiation. And this is where we left off yesterday. There are those who will argue that I'm either overstating or understating the case, that if I were a serious scholar of the subject, I'd be aware of the complex evolution of the document, its arbitrary redundancies, omissions, and superfluous attachments. To such criticism, I humbly offer no resistance. I don't have a degree in Egyptology, nor have I taken it upon myself to learn hieroglyphics or become an amateur archaeologist. However, in the last 30 years, the gods have seen fit to allow me the privilege of ritually officiating at degree initiations of a great many individuals. I stopped counting at 700. The dialogue and blocking of the ceremonies long ago transcended memorization and has freed me to stand apart from myself and witness the proceeding from a magical vantage point. Within the sealed membrane of the tiled temple, time is suspended. I see in the darkness, and without any effort on my own, I am repeatedly allowed to become both the initiator and the candidate. It is in this capacity that I offer my credentials to comment on the subject. Almost every facet of modern degree initiations has its complement in the Book of the Dead. Now, please remember, I'm speaking to a group of Freemasons. But what I'm saying concerning the rituals of Freemasonry also apply to the rituals of other initiatory societies, including my own home fraternity, the Ordo Templi Orientis. Almost every facet of modern degree initiation has its complement in the Book of the Dead. Just as the deceased is progressively raised to complete identity with the glorified Osiris, so too the modern candidate is eventually raised to mastership of the rite. But even before the series of initiations begin, the candidate must undergo tests of his or her fitness to enter the rite. Are there any skeletons in the closet that, if uncovered, would bring embarrassment or shame to the craft? Are the reasons for joining honorable? Such soul-searching must occur before the candidate petitions the lodge in writing, formally requesting to be considered for membership. And here's a quote from the Book of the Dead. O my heart, which I had from my mother, O my heart of my different ages, do not stand up as a witness against me. Do not oppose me in the tribunal. Do not be hostile to me in the presence of the keeper of the balance. The candidate must have a sponsor from within the lodge who vouches for the candidate and who will serve as his or her advocate before the membership. Again from the Book of the Dead. Thus says Thoth, judge of truth, to the great Aeneid, which is in the presence of Osiris. Hear this word of varied truth. I have judged the heart of the deceased, and his soul stands as a witness for him. His deeds are righteous in the great balance, and no sin has been found in him. Then the membership hopefully accepts the recommendation of the sponsor and votes favorably on the petition. Again from the Book of the Dead. Thus says the great Aeneid to Thoth, who is in Hermopolis, this utterance of yours is true. The vindicated Osiris, Ani, that's the candidate, is straightforward. He has no sin. There is no accusation against him before us. And his check cleared. The rite itself represents the universe in its totality, and the worshipful master symbolizes the Supreme Being. Each degree is a subdivision of the Absolute, and it is impossible to comprehend the greater reality of each ascending world unless one is an illuminated master of the preceding degree. In temple workings, this reality is strictly acknowledged as demonstrated in our practice of opening up or closing down from one degree to another. Maybe I should explain that in a digression. Let's say that the business of the evening is the initiation or the raising of a candidate to the third degree. Okay, that's the business of the evening. Nevertheless, they just don't open the temple in the third degree. It's like you just can't get there from here. They open the temple in the first degree. So, okay, and you get acclimated to the frequency, the vibration of the first degree. You give all the signs and the passcripts and everything to prove that you're a third degree, and it serves to remind you how you moved from the mundane world into the world of the right, or into the duat of the underworld, if you will. And then from the first degree, as first degrees enjoying the sweet air of the first degree temple, you open in the second degree and turn up the frequency and prove yourself worthy of being in this new rarefied atmosphere of the second degree. Now, even the candidate that's getting ready to be initiated in the third degree is there is in the temple, in the room, sitting on the sidelines with his legs crossed, relaxing, as they open in the first and the second degree. And then it comes time for them to move to the business of the evening, which is a third degree initiation. That candidate, who is a second degree, enjoying the privileges of sitting around with his second degree buddies, he has to be removed from the temple. They take him out, they kick him out, and then they go take him to prepare him for the third, while everybody else opens the third degree temple. And now the candidate can't come back in. Their air is too rarefied. It's like the decompression chamber of a diver who must be kind of slowly acclimated to the different pressure environment. So that's what I mean by in the temple workings, this reality is strictly acknowledged as demonstrated in our practices of opening up and closing down to one degree or another. Now, let's say after that third degree initiation ceremony, and the business of that third degree being completed, they have other business that they need to do, perhaps even a initiation into the of a new candidate into the first degree. The worshipful master, or the master of the lodge, has to close down from the third to the second in order to take care of that second degree business, if there's second degree business that needs to be taken care of. If that makes sense. If there is no second degree business to take care of, they don't need to close down. They can just close from the third if necessary. Okay. But I digress. In magical orders, the grades correspond directly to levels of human consciousness. The grades are the degrees, and are based upon recognizable schematic scaffoldings, such as the Tree of Life or the 30 Enochian Aethers. It is not a prerequisite in most orders for the candidate to actually achieve these progressively exalted states of consciousness. And I'll digress to say, in the AA, Crowley's AA, you really do need to achieve those levels of consciousness to claim and work those the work of those degrees, but not in the Golden Dawn or other orders that just use those grade landmarks as a roadmap to those degrees. Okay. It is not a prerequisite in most orders for the candidate to actually achieve these progressively exalted levels of consciousness. An order possessed of the omniscience to accurately judge such matters is most likely not found in the phone book. In most instances, including some very serious magical orders, these degrees serve merely as a roadmap for the candidate's inevitable personal odyssey. It's not uncommon for the truths communicated to the candidate in lower grades to be amended or even contradicted in the higher degrees. Be nice to your mother may be a worthy sentiment for a neophyte, but a master of the temple is well advised to tear thy mother from thy heart. Perhaps the most outstanding feature of the Book of the Dead is that the deceased is required, on multiple occasions, to pass through a series of gates or pylons. At each point, the traveler is barred from entry by a guardian who demands the secret keys unique to that particular station. Chapter 17 of the Book of the Dead outlines a journey through 7 gates. At each gate, the deceased is required to correctly state the name of the gatekeeper, the name of the guardian of the gate, and the name of the announcer who will proclaim the success or failure to pass. If successful, the deceased then has to declare the powers and nature of the station and the cosmic role he or she must be required to perform there. And I quote from the Book of the Dead concerning the 4th gate as an example. The 4th gate, the name of its gatekeeper is one whose face repels, one of multitudinous voices. The name of its guardian is Alert One. The name of the announcer in it is one who repels the crocodile. Words spoken by Osiris Ani, that's the candidate, the vindicated when arriving at the gate. I am the bull, the son of the kite of Osiris. Behold, you witnesses for his father. Behold the possessor of his grace. I have cut off harm from him. I have brought life for him at his nose for eternity. I am the sun Osiris. Make path for me, for I might pass by in the gods' domain. Now that drill happens at every one of those steps. It was just the example of the 4th step. Okay, back to me. Evolution is the result of a threefold process of resistance, struggle, and mutation. This is expressed in the magical formula E-A-O, spelled I-A-O. Or nature is ruined by Apophis, the forces of decay and destruction. And the result of this seemingly disastrous struggle is the resurrection of the glorified Osiris. So that's Isis, nature, ruined by Apophis, destruction, decay, and Osiris gets resurrected, E-A-O. This formula is reflected in the degree ceremonies by the fact that the candidate is brought before the junior warden and senior wardens and the master at their stations for interrogation. Then, with the aid of the senior deacon acting as the candidate's guide and advocate, the candidate overcomes the ordeals and is given permission by the authorities to continue. It is so Egyptian Book of the Dead-y. Egyptian Book of the Dead-esque. There is no question that the cosmic significance of lodge behavior is lost on the objective mind of most candidates and members, especially at the time that they're going through it. You're nervous and you go, what the heck's going on? Okay. It's later when you witness it again or replay it in your mind, or in my case, when you're obliged to initiate hundreds of people over the years. But I digress. Yet I would wager that even the most lukewarm entered apprentice has had at least one fitful night's sleep in which his credentials or his apron or his memory of signs and grips has been challenged in a temple nightmare. Once imprinted on the subconscious mind, the formula of initiation is difficult, if not impossible, to remove. If allowed to imprint the deepest stratum of the psyche, it may even provide the diligent aspirant the key to overcoming death. In the Book of the Dead, the deceased cannot skip the pylons or ordeals and cut straight to the boat ride. At each step of the way, the candidate must prove to the executors of the powers and energies of that unique quadrant that he or she knows the score. More importantly, at each step of the way, the candidate must convince the candidate that he or she knows the score. And this is where the power of memory work, self-image, and the ability to project and behave proactively in a strange and sometimes uncomfortable environment becomes a magical weapon. Chapter after chapter of the Book of the Dead reveals that the deceased maintains a perpetual monologue of self-affirmations. It is though he must keep talking in order to maintain the focus necessary to avoid drifting away, drifting astray in the afterlife. Could all this memorized chatter be used as a tool to overcoming death? After all, our consciousness of existence is all that's holding our individuality together. Perhaps if we could master a technique that would enable us to perpetuate our consciousness along each step of the post-mortem trail, we could maintain the equipment necessary to actually experience the bliss of our full spiritual destiny. Without such a technique, the individual consciousness unit will disintegrate and dissolve into the universal energy matrix, a soul eaten by Amit. The length of the Book of the Dead, just to list the links the Book of the Dead goes to bolster the deceased's confidence and keep their mind minutely focused on the matter. Listen to this. Come and enter by this door of the Hall of Justice, for you know us. We will not let you enter us, says the doorpost of this door, unless you tell us our name. Plummet of Truth is your name. I will not let you enter by me, says the right-hand leaf of the door, unless you tell me my name. Scale pan of which way's truth is your name. I will not let you enter by me, says the left-hand leaf of the door, unless you tell me my name. Scale pan of wine is your name. I will not let you pass by me, says the floor of the door, unless you tell me my name, etc., etc., etc. You guys aren't going to get this performance anyplace else on Facebook this morning. Okay. This exchange goes on with the doorpost, the door bolt, the hasp, the cross timbers, and the door itself. Once in the hall, the deceased then goes through the same drill with the floor of the hall and a score of other pieces of furniture and body parts. One can almost hear the priest of Ani, or the priest of Asi, giving a pep talk to Ani, the newly deceased. Attaboy, Ani, don't stop thinking, don't keep pretending. Pretend they ask, pretend you answer. Pretend they ask, pretend you answer. Stay concentrated. Keep up the flow of pretending. Don't give them time to throw you off guard. Don't give them time to ask you anything you can't answer. Keep moving. There's another one. Tell him his name. Tell him what color his socks are. Tell him the names of his socks. Announce that you have the right to pass. Never mind what he looks like. You're cool. Keep moving. Don't be distracted. Keep focused. Focus your attention through the planes until you hit the mark. Epilogue. Ever since childhood, I've experienced dreams of flying. I now consider these experiences to be a variety of astral projection, and have developed my nocturnal flying skills to such a degree that, under the right circumstances, I can pop out quite easily. In my early years, however, each flight ended in exactly the same way. I would be sailing along quite blissfully, fully intending to go somewhere. Then I'd realize I was flying and ask myself, how in the hell am I doing this? Once the element of doubt entered the equation, I tumbled like Icarus. Over the years, I've talked to so many people who've had exactly the same experience that I've concluded it's a universal psychic occurrence. If a little bit of concentration and practice can enable us to remain airborne in dreams, could not the same skills be honed to propel us toward a supreme goal in the precious magic moments of early death consciousness? Is this why those who do not possess this skill will not, and I'm quoting Homer again from the rite of, or the hymn to Demeter, those who do not possess this skill will not have the same lot as the initiate once they are dead and dwell in the mold where the sun goes down. Thank you very much. And that's how I ended that talk. I don't want to rub it in, but those of us that delivered papers at these symposiums did so in the most impressive edifices and rooms and chambers in some of the most elaborate Masonic buildings in the world. The atmosphere itself and the meetings, of course, for various reasons, had to be done under the radar. Because Masonry is a very, very, very big tent, and only a tiny portion of the membership understands or is even interested in the esoteric side. So I wish I could tell you the country and the city where this took place, but believe me, it was awesome to be able to be with other people delivering their papers in such a wonderful environment. Anyway, that's Saturday. Tomorrow we'll have something planned for Sunday school. I hope you'll be with me tomorrow. I hope I've worked out the technical troubles that have plagued my readings for the last couple days, and I hope everybody is seeing this. And if not, I'll keep working on it. Until tomorrow for Sunday school, continue to be good to yourself. Please have a happy Halloween, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.